Hi, welcome to Beginner Lesson 1. This is where I am going to explain to you not so much on chords and specific notes and stuff, but what I want to explain to you now is what to pay attention to when you're playing chords and how to get faster at playing chords and getting more comfortable at playing chords. I started a long time ago, and I remember the pain my hands and arms and my fingers went through to be able to switch chords somewhat fast, and I'm hopefully going to explain a shortcut to you. The one thing that you always want to learn and pay attention to is that when you're playing a chord, if you kind of look at my hand here, when you see me playing chords, I'm kind of reaching up at chords, like if I played a G, like a standard G. You notice my thumb is below, not right above, where all my fingers are. And what I'm doing with that is, instead of like really clamping down on my hand, which can be very painful after a while, I'm kind of using leverage right in the crook of my thumb and my my index finger. I use leverage to push with my arm to get more pressure on the chord. So, you see G and E, D. You'll notice I'll never go like this. If I do, I actually reach down at it, like for maybe a C chord, first position C major. I'm reaching down, and then I kind of use leverage the opposite way. I'm using the ball of my hand here as a leverage point. Okay? Now, that kind of goes into some of the comfort things. The other things that I wanted to go into is what you feel when you're playing a chord. And I think that's just as important as, where to place your fingers and all. Because I think after a while, your body grows accustomed to how a certain thing feels. Like, I'm going to play an E chord, E major. Okay? So I know that my ring finger and my middle finger are right next to each other, and my index finger is, doing its thing. A lot of people will say also, to find a chord, put your index finger down first and let the other fingers follow. I've been doing it for long enough that I don't even think about it, but that's a really good thing to kind of digest. You're always searching for where to put your fingers and stuff. Your index finger is your number 1A top-rated finger, and if you put that first, your other fingers kind of know where to go after a while. So that's important. Another thing too is your fingers stretched out a little bit. It'll be a little bit faster. You can make changes a little bit faster. Don't cramp up your hand, because just going like that, your fingers can't move very well. But if they're open, you can move them very quickly. Another thing to do when you're practicing chords is, instead of like, I know a lot of people will be like playing a D and they're real okay. That might sound okay, but when you play it note for note, I'm actually muting a string, but it doesn't sound right. You want to be able to play each note individually, so they all ring out nicely. G. Especially if you get into finger picking, you want to be able to have each note ring out individually, and you could, play anywhere in a chord, and the strings are going to ring. And the other final thing for the beginning lesson is pay attention to shapes, not necessarily of course, know the C chord, know the A chord, all that, but pay attention to those shapes as you're doing them, because there's a lot of things later on that come into play. especially when you're learning bar chords. You know, there's the E shape, and when I'm playing a bar chord, you know, I could play an A with an E-shaped bar chord. So pay attention to those things. Get used to playing shapes. Another thing that really helps you with is when you're looking at somebody and trying to figure out what they're playing, you see the shape that their hands are making. You go, oh, that's an E, that's a D, you know, all the things like that. So keep those things in mind. My goal is to do a new beginner lesson every month, along with an intermediate and an advanced lesson every month. So check in often. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye.